We are able to hear. Hello. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
There is a little bit of noise, sir. Background noise.
Bit of noise. Some of the people, participants may be seeing it. Please, I request all the participants not to be an hindrance to others. Today the program will be about charter of demands and followed by wage settlement. We are going to see about how a wage accord is settled between the employer and the employees. A detailed discussion for 2 hours with a break of 10 minutes around 7:50. The whole program will be about the discussion on charter of demands and wage accord or wage settlement. Mainly, we will be dealing with how to go about it, what is charter of demand, how they give the charter of demand, what are the sections involved with regard to the wage accord or wage settlement in the Industrial Dispute Act. First of all, we must know what is collective bargaining. What is collective bargaining in an industry? Collective bargaining in an industry. Collective bargaining is, what is collective bargaining? Are you all able to hear me? Asking for a enhancement or revision in wages for all the employees through a forum, maybe a union, bus committee, external union, or whatever may be. Through their representative, the employees are asking for an enhancement of their wages from their present wages. It is nothing but collective bargaining. See, I am not going into the details of the ID Act. We are just starting with what is collective bargaining. So collective bargaining is nothing but it is the requirement of the employees towards enhancement of wages. And this collective bargaining is given in writing by way of charter of demands. And in almost all industries, we have unions, multi-unions, single union, internal union, affiliated to external. These types of unions are there. And the union is playing a major role in presenting the charter of demand to the organization. Tamil Nadu, lot of unions, external unions are there, which are affiliated to party, and some of them not so. See, what are the unions affiliated to party? The major unions are INTUC, a Congress Party Union, INTUC, CITU, CPEM, a union of CPEM, CITU. These two are the major unions on the all India basis. And now the BMS, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, and the CPE is having its own union, AITUC. AITUC, to be precise, the first union in India is from AITUC only. The union started in Tamil Nadu in one of the famous industries, textile industry. I think most of you may be knowing about the industry. Bini Limited. You can see in that road till date that union office, even though the Bini Limited at Perambur is closed. So the first union of the AITUC was started at Bini Limited. And the union played a pivotal role or important role in the collective bargaining. So AITUC. And who are all the union leaders? Even our presidents, national president of India, R. Venkatraman, B.V. Giri, and some of the central ministers, George Fernandez, one of the famous union leader from Bihar, George Fernandez, he was a conqueror of railway union. So a lot of external unions are there, like AITUC, CITU, INTUC, and much more. CPML is having his own AICCU, CPML. And there is one more union in Tamil Nadu, NDLF, National Democratic Liberation Front. So such a type of almost all external unions are there, either affiliated to any one of the parties, major parties of India. Apart from that, the individuals are also having their own union. The individuals, like Kushelar, one of the famous veteran union leader of Tamil Nadu, 80 plus. And he is one of the union leaders. He has got his own union. And the ULF, United Labour Front, Mr. Prakash, senior counsel, he is the veteran leader of ULF, and some of the companies in Tamil Nadu, they have their own union, like this ULF and all, the external union. Individuals developed these external unions, not affiliated to any party. So these are the external unions. Apart from that, the company is having its own internal union also in some other companies. They have their own internal union. It is not affiliated to anybody. Of course, they may get consulted with any of the external persons. That's all. Some advocates, senior lawyers, or any outside unions, they may get opinion from them and get along with them. And these unions are there. And apart from these unions, the collective bargaining can be without any external or internal union also nowadays. Why? Because a work committee in most of the companies, recent past companies, multinational companies, companies which are 5 years or 10 years old, they have their own work committee. These work committee representatives discuss with the management and arrive at a accord that is also acceptable as per idea. So work committee is there, and I will be able to share you the ID Act which covers about the wage accord to all of you to understand easily. So the work committee has got its own duties and responsibilities. And with regard to the works committee, formation of works committee and all. The Tamil Nadu industrial rules, speaks more about under various rules, right from 3 to 21 about the works committee. And nowadays, some of the companies are conveniently having their works committee, and through them, they enter into a wage accord, and this wage accord is taken to department and converted into a wage agreement. So, in this process, it can be an affiliated union, it can be an internal union, or it can be through a works committee. With regard to, before understanding about collective bargaining, these issues of the collective bargaining are called industrial disputes. So, let us first look into the ID Act 1947 and Tamil Nadu rules. I will be sharing with you the total Tamil Nadu rules with all the participants, which may be useful. For Karnataka also, almost same is the rules. The only changes instead of Tamil Nadu, it is Karnataka. That's all. So these rules speaks about the various. These rules speaks about the various points with regard to the wage settlement also. And the 2K talks about ID means a dispute or difference between employer and employer, employer and employees, or between workmen and workmen, which is connected with the employment or non-employment or with the conditions of labor of that company. And this is regard to industrial dispute. This is about ID. The section 2K speaks about ID. What is ID? And what is important here is wage accord. The wage accord or wage agreement is said in section 2P. Section 2P of the ID Act talks about wage agreement. They say wage settlement. The wage word will not be there in 2P, but they will talk about settlement. Settlement is what? Settlement is nothing but wage settlement. Wage settlement also. The settlement individually is different. The settlement is wage settlement for the total people of the organization. So section 2P deals with settlement. Section 2K deals with what is ID, and the wage bargaining, the charter demands given by them is itself an ID, because it is represented by the workmen leaders or the workmen forum or the works committee. So the 2P speaks about settlement means a settlement arrived in the course of conciliation proceeding and includes a written agreement arrived without the conciliation and taken to conciliation. So a settlement arrived in the course of conciliation or between the parties among themselves without going to conciliation and then taking it to conciliation. So section 2P deals with the settlement, and section 3 in chapter 2nd of the ID Act deals with bus committee. Bus committee is mandatory. The government in Tamil Nadu government insists for works committee. But if you have an internal union or affiliated union, the say of the affiliated union is much more than the works committee. So they play an important role, and the works committee role is minimized. So works committee role is minimized when there is a union. Where the work committees are formed in any industry where under or more workmen are there, you must have your works committee, the law says. But most of the industries, they have the recognized union or union, and forming a work committee is not implemented in many other factories. In some other factories, when there is no union, they have the works committee. The works committee, if you look into the Tamil Nadu rules, in the Tamil Nadu rules, from rule number 3 to 21, it all speaks about what is works committee, how the works committee is formed, who are all the members of the works committee, any election is done among the workmen, the representative of the works committee should be equal from the management and also the workmen. And if a works committee member resigns, the selection of next person, how long the duration of the works committee, all these things are there, and these are all important, not important for us regarding collective bargaining. It's enough if you know what is works committee. And then there is one section 3A. We have seen section 3 for works committee. Section 3A talks about joint management council. The government may insist for a joint management council if the number of employees are 500 or more to arrive at a conclusion wherein they may have equal representation from the workmen and the management, and a chairman is selected for joint management council. This joint management council discusses the charter of demand and arrive at. So we have seen works committee, we have seen what is dispute, we have seen what is settlement in 2P and what is joint management council in section 3A. And now next comes, these are all the things which are happening internally. And if we take it up to the government, it starts with section 4, section 5, section 6, section 7, 7A, 7B. Very easy to remember: 4, 5, 6, 7, 7A, 7B. Conciliation officer, who is nothing but a DCL or labor officer, who is nothing but a DCL or labor officer or JCL. Board of Conciliation. Board of Conciliation, it is a board wherein the persons are more than one and the qualifications are mentioned for the Board of Conciliation. Section 4, Conciliation officer, he may enter into for the discussion. If not, it may go to Board of Conciliation. If it is not happening there, it may go to Court of Inquiry. Court of Inquiry is also formed by the respective government. And the labor court, wherein all the dispute, 2K or 2A dispute goes to labor court also through the government, or the individual can go nowadays. And if it is not resolved at labor court, it can go to tribunal of the state government, or the importance, if it is so important, like some public sector, they may go to national tribunal also. So these are all the conciliating authorities through whom the collective bargaining is discussed. So the collective bargaining is discussed first through among the management and the employees representative or the works committee, and then it is going to the conciliating authority. And with regard to this, what are all the two types of major wage settlement as per ID Act? Say I am now going direct to ID Act, and then we will be coming to see what are all the points that will be discussed in COD, how it is discussed, how much time we have to, the place where it has to be discussed, all those things we will discuss. First, I am completing the base of ID simply, so that you can, and also I will be sending it by mail to you or by WhatsApp, so that you can understand what are the important sections involved with the collective bargaining or wage accord. Am I clear? So, the conciliating authority involves himself with the wage accord. He is the third party appointed by the government. The employees representatives are coming, management representatives are coming. If the wage settlement is between the management and the workman, as per section 18(1) of the ID Act with the 2P, that is 2P is a wage settlement. If the settlement is in accordance with the section 12, section 18(1), it is binding the employees who have signed the 18(1) and also the representatives. It is between the parties. No third party is involved. We are just sending copy to the department. So, the See, there's a question about how many members will be in work committee. If you have 100 or more workmen, you can have a work committee, and work committee, the maximum they suggest is 10. This side 5, that side 5. Of that, one person will be a neutral person, need not be from the management. It can be from the workmen also. You can go through the Tamil Nadu rules regarding work committee from section 3, rule number 3 to 21 speaks about totally about all the matters pertains to work committee. And coming to this section 18.1 of the ID Act, 18.1 is the wage settlement based on the discussion between the management and the workers' representative, and arrived at a wage settlement. That is 18.1. In 18.1, one more is, instead of taking up the 18.1 with the union representatives and getting the signature of the individual workmen, in some of the industries, if the union is not cooperating, is not coming forward, the industry can declare what they offer in the notice board and ask individual workmen to enter into an 18.1 settlement. Suppose 100 workers are there. For all the 100 workers, for each and every one, the 18.1 settlement is written. It doesn't vary. It may vary from grade to grade, but totally for all the people, suppose in grade 1, there are some 5 people. For all of them, the same will be there. Salary will be there. It won't be a disparity, but each and every employee will be signing for the 18.1 settlement individually, and that will be forwarded to the government. That is to the labor department. So that is also possible. And in one of the industries, see, memorandum of settlement reached in section 81 of the ID Act, representing employer, management of X company by its general manager, representing workmen, one workman in person, Thiru Saravanan, employee number 946. Like this, all the employees, each and every employee will enter into a settlement and arrive at a settlement. So this is 18.1. So 18.1 is possible. The 18.1 is done with the work committee or with the employees union or individually. And we have seen 18.1 now. Another wage accord is 12.3. The another wage accord is 12.3. The 12.3 is here the third party comes. The wage accord 12.3 is between the union and the management before the conciliating authority. After a discussion with the conciliating authority, settlement is arrived at, and the parties in the dispute are management and union. The mediation authority is the labor department, DCL, JCL or LO. So this is a 12.3 settlement, and it is always preferable and good to convert the 18.1 settlement entered into between the management and the workmen by taking it into the labor department by way of a dispute and informing them that we have discussed and arrived at a settlement and it has to be converted into 12.3. That is always preferable, because 18.1 at any time can be objected by other group of employees. If a majority of the employees, they can form a union and ask for withdrawal of 18.1 and implementation of a new wage accord. So this is with regard to the 18.1 wage settlement and 12.3 wage settlement. I think, am I clear with regard to what is 18.1 and 12.3? Are all you clear? Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir, please.
See, next. If we are going to see today what COD, charter demands, What is COD? COD is whatever they want, employees, whatever they want through the union, written demand is given by the union with regard to the wage hike they require. After they conducting a general body meeting, they may announce that they are going to give the COD to the management, and the COD is well written. And what are all the contents? COD is nothing but a charter of demand. Once a wage agreement is over and the next wage agreement is due, suppose on December 31st December 2020, a wage agreement of 3 years coming into a conclusion, and the next wage agreement to be implemented from 1st January 2021. Then a charter of demand is given by the workmen representatives or the works committee or the external union comes, and if there's an external union, they also come and present the charter of demand along with the internal union office bearers. They submit the charter of demand to the management. It can, when it is submitted generally, it can be submitted 2 months in advance before the completion of a wage settlement period. Suppose it is 2020 December, they will be giving in the month end of October, or November and December are 2 months, November 1st. So the wage, they can even give at the end of the wage period, that is 31st December, means 31st December also they can give. So the charter of demand is given by workmen representative, internal union or external union. And what are all the matters that are given in the charter of demand? I will show you some of the matters that are given in the charter of demand by different industries. First important matter which they will say is about basic wages. So in the charter of demand, the first requirement of them may be about basic wages. Generally, so are you able to see this long-term wage agreement topic which I am showing? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So basic wages is one, and they may ask, fully for the whole year, the basic, that is for the 3 years, they may say that I want 5,000 rupees towards basic. They won't split into what they want for the first year, what they want in the second year, or what they want in the third year. They may say that I want an enhancement of 1,500, 3,000 towards basic wages. So individually for each and every year they may say something, and they may ask for variable dearness allowance. See, is there any standard procedure with regard to the wage definition? Each and every act defines wages in each and every act depends on its own way. So there is no specific guideline with regard to what are all the headings under which the wage enhancement can be asked. What are all, see, the headings won't be same as in all the companies as in a particular company. But in most of the companies, they have basic wages. But some of the companies, they do not have DA at all. Some of the companies do not have DA at all. That is, some other companies do not have variable DA at all. Some other companies have fixed DA. When I was assistant general manager long time back, some 3 decades before, I have introduced a new terminology which was used all over India. Flat fixed dearness allowance. See, you would have had a fixed dearness allowance, variable dearness allowance. But I have coined a terminology. This was asked by the NIPM people also. What is it? Then I explained to them that flat fixed dearness allowance. What we say, this fixed dearness allowance will be a flat amount which won't be changed at all throughout the settlement. And we are first introducing this year only. So this amount will be flat ever, and there won't be any enhancement over every year. So suppose if the flat fixed dearness allowance is 1,500, it is 1,500 for the next 2 years. That is first year, second year, third year. Next 3 years, continuously for 3 years will be the same only. And in some companies, they have variable dearness allowance. The variable dearness allowance is based on what? On consumer living index, no? Cost of living index. That is CPI, consumer price index, or cost of living index. Based on that, the variable DA and variable DA, each and every company have their own forms. It is not standardized in India. Even I don't think that the new wage code is going to standardize all these things. The variable dearness allowance, they have the 1960 base, they have 1980 base, they have 2000 base. That is 2000 100 points is equal to this much is the amount. They will fix it. And then per point, increase over 2000, increase over the base point. For each point, what is the amount? Like that, 1960 base they have, 1980 base they have, 2000 they have, now it is 2010 base also they have. So lot of base are given and arrived at with regard to variable DA. And the variable DA in private sector varies from companies to company, industries to industry, in the same type of industry also, unless there is a wage board, like for cement industries. The variable DA calculation varies from companies to company. They may ask for variable DA and they may say, at the rate of 30 rupees per point, follow 2000 at the rate of 30 rupees per point. Now the Tamil Nadu, the minimum wages, they are given the cost of living index variable DA and they said what is per point. Based on that, these people will be asking at the rate of 30 rupees per point. The management say they won't pay 30 rupees, they may say that they will pay only 10 rupees. So there is no particular norms. You must remember that there is no standard practice with regard to variable dearness allowance or fixed dearness allowance, and some other companies are not paying at all. Is it right? We will come back to. Is it right? We will come back to. Because there is one class called the minimum wages. If you are paying something more than the minimum wages and it is proved, there's no need for any classifications. And people may say so many things, that you have to do like this, that, and all. There's no nomenclature at all. What is the gross salary that you are giving? Is it exceeding the minimum wages? That's fine. And what is the gross salary you are giving? Is it exceeding minimum wages? In the minimum wages, VDA comes. So it is enough if you pay something more than, if you prove that you are paying more than minimum wages, there's no need for specifically following a particular rule. But by convention, if you're already having variable DA, you cannot withdraw that. Anything which is by convention cannot be withdrawn. If you withdraw, they may go to court of law. So HRA, so basic DA, HRA, conveyance allowance, washing allowance. If you would have given uniform, they may ask for washing allowance, attendance incentive, night shift allowance, second shift allowance. Second shift means 2 to 10. Night shift is 10 to 6. Second shift allowance will be normally lesser than the night shift allowance per day. And then some other companies, they have a specific column called education allowance. See, they have a column called education allowance. And then once in a while, in case of demise of the parents, they demand, funeral allowance. And then, if you are working in industry, you may be using the equipment and there may be some oil and wastage which may affect you. So you may require soap, oil and towel. These are also asked in the demand. And then they were asking for health insurance. Wherever there's no ESA, they may ask for health insurance. Even there's ESA, they may ask for health insurance in companies. But health insurance is a mandatory aspect nowadays. You may be well aware of it because of the COVID-19. So health insurance is insisted by almost all the internal and external unions. This is also, and some other unions say it is very interesting. Instead of asking for production incentive, they are asking for profit sharing. They're asking for profit sharing. The recent past, in one of the industries, they've asked for profit sharing, and in the award also they said, after verifying the balance sheet of the company, I do not know how, they said 1% of the profit should be shared among the workmen. I don't know. The basis also they have not told anything. But the award it was there, and then that award was rejected, and the company was not accepting it on some principles, and went for an appeal and gone for a writ petition over the award by the labor court. Something may happen like that also. Suppose if the award there is some legal issues, or in the award there's a basic error with regard to computation, then the award can be challenged by a writ petition. And generally, you cannot, once an award is entered into and implemented, you cannot bypass the award and say that I won't pay whatever said in the award. If it is so, you may be punished. That is, the employer may be punished by severe punishment as per section 29. So you cannot just bypass the award. So coming back to this, these are all the heads under which, generally the COD is given and a management response or not. Suppose a GOD is given, management receives it. Immediately they cannot react on that. They should not react on that. The union leader gives, he can acknowledge it and inform the union leader politely, welcoming them, saying them that yes, we are happy that we received a COD. We will definitely consider, look into it, review it, and come back to you positively. That is the general reply the management must give, and they cannot discuss immediately as soon as they get the COD. See, you have to go through the COD and understand how it is, and then do a lot of homework on that, and then only you have to reply. You cannot reply across the table something. It will be a futile exercise. So, while receiving the COD, acknowledge it by word of mouth, and then give a letter after a week or so, because they may have given 2 months before, or they may have given at the end of the wage settlement, which was a previous wage settlement. So it is not necessary to immediately acknowledge. Preparations by management. What is preparations by management? The once the COD is received, you have to prepare yourself how to go about it. What is the total demand? If you total the entire charter of demands, what is the amount comes? Normally it may be any guess. Normally the total demand of the workman, suppose if the salary is 20,000, the COD, if you calculate totally, including all the matters that they have set in, the cost to company may be as per the demand. It will be very funny. It may be very funny. Maybe 1 lakh if you total everything. So what he wants from 20,000, he wants 1,20,000. That is the COD. So you have to study the COD in full and understand it, and then issue a letter saying that we have gone through your COD and the expectations are abnormal. So we wanted to come back with reality and say what exactly is the total amount that you want. Today the salary is 20,000, gross salary. What is the gross salary you want? Let us discuss about bifurcation later. That is how you have to give a letter, and apart from that, you have to give a counter demand. What is counter demand? What is counter demand? Counter demand is the workman is asking for enhancement in wages. We can give enhancement in wages provided we get some increase in productivity. See, after all, the wages is paid, our salary is paid based on the productivity only, based on the production and productivity only. So, when you are asking for an enhancement for the next 3 years, the total cost may go a month to nearly 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs, depending on the industry. And the industry may ask, what are you going to in time give? Because once based on the cost of living, your salary is increased, simultaneously the productivity cost also increased because all the raw material costs will be increasing, and the company cannot sustain. So the company may be asking, what are you going to do to the company when the company is ready to offer you some X amount. So long, so far, we have not announced any amount. We are saying that we are ready to give you enhancement in wages. But what are you going to do? For that, here the management should clearly give in writing what are all the counter demands that they want. Sizing down the numbers, that is, each machine 2 persons may be there, 3 persons for 2 machines. Increasing the capacity of the machine, bringing an outsider to study the time and motion study, and fix the productivity norms. See, in some of the industries, they say no, lack of engagement of workmen in shifts. So you have to take care all those things and present a counter demand. You can say, suppose if they ask for 3 years settlement, you can very well say the settlement will begin from the date of signing for the next 3 years. Suppose if the settlement to start from 1st January 2021, now it is September, till date, nothing happens. Then they may ask for arrears and they may say the 3 year settlement starts from 2021, 1st January. But in the counter demand, initially itself, the company can say that the wage accord or wage settlement will start only from the date of signing. Then what happened to the gap? 3 years from the date of signing. Then what happened to the gap? That is from 1st January to September. You can say that they may pay you ad hoc arrears. Nowadays, some other companies are calculating every month what is the amount that they have to give on the various days and then give the arrears. You are getting into trouble in that. If that is so, you have to pay PF for that. If it's an ad hoc amount which is not mentioned, which is not calculated at all, then there's no need for paying PF also. And it can be almost equal to what they are supposed to get. Suppose you are the arrears is supposed to be around 2 lakhs, 50,000. You can say that we will give you ad hoc amount of 2 lakhs. Nearest round off, or you can say a lower figure also to put a check on them to complete the wage accord at the earliest. So the arrears, the period for which settlement is not signed, that period ad hoc will be paid and the settlement will be 3 years from the date of signing. Or you can say that the settlement period will be 4 years. Some companies even now says that during the last year due to COVID, the company has not performed well. So we are skipping that whole year and the settlement has to start only from now. There are some companies who discussed with the union like that, and the unions also accepted such a proposal with some compromise with the management. So the 3 year settlement may be from the date of completion of the previous settlement or to the date of signing, and they can even also for 4 year settlement. Like that, the counter demands can be given by the management. But all the counter demand varies from company to company. It varies, and you have to keep in mind that it shouldn't be very hard or which is not acceptable. It should be reasonable and should be discussed by the management. It should be something which can be discussed by the workman. Inputs to be ready. What is inputs to be ready? Region and similar units. Inputs to be ready is nothing but, see, within the industry, you have to see what is the average salary over the last 3 years. What is the percentage of increase that we have given? See, the percentage of increase with regard to the workman for the 3 year settlement. Generally, whatever I have gone through is around 8 to 10% in total. Some companies are paying 12%. So the average increase is taken, and also what is the increment amount that they have given in the last 3 years every year. So that is, suppose it is 2020, it is over the last 2018, 19, 20. So from 2018 to 2020, in 2018, what enhancement you have given? It's an average. 19 what you have given, 20 what you have given, like that. No, last 6 years or so, the tabulation to be made to compare what are you going to give now. And also, what is the neighboring industries of the similar type gives. This data to be kept ready before discussion of charter of demand given by the workmen. So you have to collect all these things and also the similar units across the pan India, what they have given, north, east, south, west, of the same strength, similar production, similar industries. What is the wages that they have given within the state or outside the state? And in the region, suppose if you are in Varakadam, all auto ancillary units, not the primary unit like Honda, the auto ancillary units, each and every unit have their own systems, but they may have to compare with similar units. Otherwise, the workman will say, "Pakathu company la 10,000 kutta, neenga 2,000 la paakringa." This will happen if you are not comparing yourself and giving justification for your comparison. So these things are to be ready and talk on only wage settlement points. Meeting place. Next is meeting place. See, to discuss this charter of demands, there should be a meeting place. It cannot be an online discussion like this. Impossible. Maybe might have done during the COVID period, they would have done this way or that way if they have started. But all the companies would have given straight away saying that it's COVID, we cannot discuss. So it is a personal discussion, and this discussion, the management representatives, the plant head, head HR, and corporate people may be there. And it is always preferable to have on the management side 3-4 people, including a finance person and a production man, to discuss so that if the workman talks about production, the production man may be able to support the head HR. And if they talk about marketing, the corporate man may be able to support the head HR. If they talk something about finance, the finance man may be able to support the head HR. So the management say some 3-4 people must be there. It should not be a 1-to-1 discussion or 1-to-4 discussion. And the workman side also, the external leader, if there's an affiliated union, the external leader will be permitted. And some companies are saying very clearly in their counter demand or letter itself that first we will discuss all the major points among ourselves with the internal union and come back to you. That is a clever way of putting it. They can go and consult the external union leaders, but first we will discuss, even though it is affiliated, they give in writing that it will be discussed like that only. And the unions are taking. Will place the external unions, season the external union is accepting such a proposal because these internal union leaders will go and convey, and only based on their input, they will say yes or no. So the meeting place, environment should be best one. You cannot say that no workman, so we won't keep the place well, and it will be little shabby and all. Better not to conduct at your plant at all. It is always preferable to meet in a boardroom or conference room, well maintained, or in a star hotel. See, you are giving some importance to the discussion and importance to the people. So the environment with facilities, with all the facilities, the food, the ambience, everything should be fine. And the participants on the management should know all the members who are participating by name. Murugan secretary, konju solunga. Prabhakar, neenga sonna mundi poidum. We have to tell no all the names of the committee members also. You must be knowing all of them and have a personal touch with them. And it should not be an informal, it should not be very formal or something, and it should be very cordial and friendly. Talk on only wage settlement. That is, you should not talk about all unnecessary matters which are not connected and which may provocate the. See, suppose the wage settlement talks are initiated. If you are talking about discipline of some of the employees or old cases and about some other industries and about the behavior of the workmen and all, they may not like it. So you talk about the points which are asked by the workmen in the COD. So, and always you have to talk only about each and every point, and you have to ask what is your expectations and what is your expectations. Also, you have to spell out, but always good to arrive at a total amount and then talk about it. Apportioning the total amount you have to talk, and first you have to talk about the bulk amount. You have asked for 1 lakh. Do you think that it is reasonable? What you have got in the last year, last settlement, that itself is very high. That is how the HR may start the discussion. The last 3 years put together, we have paid you 8,000 rupees. Split it into 3. Do not always say that the whole amount will be in the first year and subject to VDA in the next year. Sir. Always split into the first year amount, second year amount, and third year amount. What is the expectation of the workman if you split it into 3? They may ask more in the first year because the salary is going to hike it better, and less in the second year, then very less in the third year. Suppose if it is 10,000 rupees, they may say 5,000 rupees in the first year, 3,000 rupees in the second year, third year 2,000 rupees. You have to say that cost of living goes up year by year. You have to reverse and say that it should be 235. So like that, no, you must be capable of telling the mathematical calculation and other things. Take the help of finance also, take the help of production people also, and talk only on wage settlement and what do you expect also to be told. So I think you are all clear and following whatever I say regarding long-term wage settlement.
Yes, sir.
Please keep it confidential among the team on both sides. That is, whatever we discuss now, the wage settlement will not be over within a day. See, I have taken a recent past 4 or 5 settlements I have done, and one of the settlement was in one of the leading hospital industry having some 600 workmen, a vulnerable union. Once, and then when I took over for discussion, I had a very friendly talk with the external union leader and told him, what do you expect, how much time it will take for us to come to an understanding? I just asked him, how much time it may take for us. Sir, sir. Immediate reply from him. But you tell me, let me review it. Then he said, 6 months. I promised him that if this settlement is not over within 6 months, he can go for dispute. See, it is a discussion of 18-1 like settlement that has been bipartisan discussion. We have not gone to the labor department at all, and it was very cordial. I have recognized each and every participant, committee members, internal union secretary, president, treasurer, and the external union leader, and I have addressed each one of them, and I have not changed the dates. Weekly once and whenever possible, we have seen and discussed it very calmly, and whenever the meeting was over, when they go out, they were going with happiness. And the only understanding there is, let us have the minutes of the meeting as and when the meeting completed a very day, but please do not discuss this with employees. Why we said, even I told them that if I come to know about the discussion, we may have to stop the discussion. And they were strictly adhering to it. And no one has passed on what is discussed. They said simply that discussion is going very smoothly, and we are sure that we will get win successfully and the enter into a settlement. And we have asked, and whatever we asked, they listened patiently like that. No, they manage the workmen. That is the way, the understanding should be, and that must come only through, that must come only through the operations of the head of HR or HR people who are discussing that. If you are capable of convincing them that it should not go out and make minutes of the meeting, every meeting, the grapevines will not happen. You may be knowing what is grapevines. So I have discussed so far something, and you have grasped everything. If you ask all the 15 or 20 people here, each one may say on his own way something. Section 2K, Section 2P, 2A, 12.3, 18.1, everything will be forgotten. There is something say, some people, each one may have his own version. And at last, if I say A, it may become Z when it comes to me. So it should not be discussed among the workmen till they are reaching a particular stage. So unique in every industry. What is unique in every industry? Discussion. How the discussion is going on. Where to begin. How to end. What is the duration of the discussion? All these things, and what they discuss, the points which they may take with regard to productivity, with regard to the basic DA, with regard to the total wages. It is unique in every industry. They have their own method and unique with every union. LPF may discuss in a different way. CITU may discuss in a different way. CPM, CITU will discuss in a different way. ULF, they have their own pattern of discussion. So the HR manager must know to which union he is discussing. NDLF, BCK, every internal union, every union has got their own methodology of discussion. Even though the points discussed are same, it varies from, and if it's a multi-union, it's another headache. All the unions will be sitting. If there's a multi-union, if you wanted to talk to all the unions, or if the majority union says that you can discuss with other union also, all the union will be sitting around 15 people will be there, and if 5 people will be discussing with all the people, they may not have concurrence at all. So the discussion goes with the nature of industry and also the union with which they are discussing. And so next is, I have already told you, must be a package deal, not point wise. After arriving the package deal, you can come for point wise. Unless affiliated, no outsider to be allowed on both sides to the extent possible. Please don't bring your consultant or advocate unless it is an affiliated union. Because I am the consultant for a few companies where I am going, but I never attend unless I am asked to do separately for negotiation. I am appointed and then asked to take up that. Otherwise, generally an advocate or that person should not enter if it is not an affiliated union. So, preferable not to, you can consult the consultant or advocate before the discussion and after the discussion. But if an outsider is allowed from that side, that is external leader is coming, then your consultant or advisor can join. And preferable, the HR deals with it. And if there's any requirement of drafting it, then they can take the help of that person. And unless affiliated, no outsider to be allowed on both sides. If it is not an affiliated union, but they are consulting an outsider. For example, they are consulting CITU leader who is an outsider, Sri Soundarajan ji. They can consult, but the union is not CITU here. It is an internal union. They can consult and come back and talk to us. And here it is not affiliated. They are patronized by CITU. They take the opinion of CITU. So unless affiliated, don't allow any outsider, even an advocate representative of the union. Discussion only about permanent workmen on roles. That is always an headache. In some other companies, other unions talk about how many contract labor to be confirmed this year, this, that, and all. Never encourage such things. That is a separate issue. If you it may deviate from the subject, they would have not mentioned in the COD at all, but they may talk about it. Never encourage it. Maximum 2 to 3 years at any time, unless final shape is arrived at. I don't believe in sitting for 12 hours from day morning to night when the final stage is also. You just have 2 to 3 hours, quite often have the meeting, have a cordial relationship, bring them to your liking, and then it should be 2 to 3 hours, and first immediately don't start everything, and slowly at the end, you conclude in such a way that they are satisfied, and you should have that mantra with you, how to talk, and the effective communication is important, unless you have an effective communication as an HR, or the people who are sitting there, finance or HOD, head of the plant, it is very difficult. See, you take the second half hours, preferably after 2 o'clock. Always have the meeting after lunch. They may be, just settling down themselves. And at the end of the meeting, you say this point is considered and make them happy while going. Never ever say, will be later next time. Never ever say, I will come back to you. Next time we can consider. In some other companies, they are writing it in the settlement itself. In the next settlement, we will discuss about VDA, finished it, and arrive at a conclusion. That also added. See, if you say like that, no, it became a bondage. So never ever say, next time I will do. If you want to say family, no, let it go on strike. Section 22, no problem. Tell very clearly, family, strongly. Leaders like such people only. Say why it is not possible and say not possible at all. Don't say I will consult and come back to you. If you say that you are consulting and come back to you, means what? It means you are satisfied with that demand. If you ask from 5,000 rupees enhancement over basic, if you say that yes, you are asking, it is very high, but I think let me talk to all this nonsense in you. If you put, he may conclude that you are interested in paying. And sometimes he may ask, why don't you ask your top management to come? Never give room for that. And be firm with what you wanted to say. And the good things you talk first and go close it. And the tough things you take later. Never discuss VDA immediately on the first day itself. Be clear about productivity norms. So we have discussed something about ID Act. We have discussed about long-term wage agreement, some maximum points. And an hour had gone. One more hour is there. We can discuss other points after a 10 minutes gap. After 10 minutes gap, we can come back after 10 minutes gap. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Sir, I have one query. Balamur is here. Hello.
Tell me, Balasubramaniam.
Balamurugan.
Thank you, sir.
Balamurgan, please tell me.
Sir, when there is no mass production, it is based on the unique product which is being produced. How the productivity can be taken up with the employees?
That is, it is not mass
production is there? Yes, there is no mass production. When the company is producing a unique product which is being supplied,
okay.
Different models.
See, there are some examples I can say. Foundries, that is casting foundries. They don't have mass production of a particular product. They have different products, and also the changes, the product changes. But you can have a productivity settlement there based on your past experience. What are all the types of products that you are making? Drastic changes are not going to happen. Suppose if you have some ton products, you have to say that if you produce this, it will be like this. If you produce this, it will be like this. And also you can fix the machine efficiency. That is, suppose if it's got a CNC machine, which is a high-tech machine with all the control switch panel, this, that, and all. And you can say, in an hour, what you are supposed to get from this by weight basis or something. Or otherwise, you may have a unique system. In some of the companies, I will show you about one company, wherein they have a unique thing, various types of products that they are manufacturing. So they are putting for every target for each and every product. Suppose you produce X product, the company target is 50 pieces.
Okay. 50
pieces. Like that, no, why 190? That is batch number 190 a product. It should be 60 pieces. That is how they they were fixed for each and some based on the production. Suppose you produce that first number, you have to produce this much. Like that, it is possible. Even though the product varies and there is no particular specific output, like car manufacturer or something. if it is a foundry where different product costing the products are coming out. So you can have based on the past records, and also for the new products also, suppose if the new product, it has to be discussed and finalized. Like that you can put, and it is not so difficult, even though the product varies. Thank you very much. Next, am I clear to you, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Please.
Thank you,
Sir, Ariraj, yes, sir. Sir, actually, you said this one in the long-term wage agreement, this slide, you said not only for permanent workmen, because one is about the union themselves they are giving in charter of demand about the contract workman permanency or wage revision. So how to take this point?
See, they may mention about contract workmen also in their charter of demand. And if you look into the ID Act, the ID Act is not differentiating the contract workman. Please go through the ID Act about the definition of worker. It includes even apprentice in the ID Act. That is a way it is. See, unless the new wage code comes, which will be the uniform nomenclature of definition will be there. But here the ID Act is very clear that contract workman also a part of worker. So they may raise about it, but you can say that the discussion will be only about the regular workman, and the contract workman, the discussion to be done only by the contractor, and you are not the contract workman, you are on the permanent roles of the company. See, I will tell you, in one of the company, they were talking about the contract workman, but the management, MD of the company said that, I know what the contract workman is doing and what are you doing. From tomorrow, if the contract workmen are stopped, I will give you whatever you asked in the COD. They were kept quiet. See, they said, you are given no COD for 1 lakh, around 500 contract workmen are there. And I know what work you are doing and what the contract workmen are doing. And from tomorrow, all these contract workmen will be stopped. And whatever the salaries that we are giving, which we are giving to them, we will give to you, apportion it to you, or whatever you asked in the charter demands, suppose if it's 1 lakh, we will give to you, but no contract labor will be available, you have to give the full production. So this way, you have to manage somehow and see that the contract worker is whose worker? Is he a direct employee of you? No. He is an employee of a contractor. So it will be between the contractor and the company, and the contractor and the contract workman. In some companies, they are entering into 18-1 settlement between the contractor and the contract workman also. It is not mandatory for the company to discuss, and we can very well manage. Thank you.
Sir, good evening.
Thank you, sir.
So, in the company, we have about 120 workmen. See, the existing works committee has stepped down. Okay. So, the new FMC, we are in the process. We have announced.
Yaar kya kar de?
Raj Kannan.
Raj Kannan, huh?
Raman.
Which company?
I am from Vistion.
What is your question, Raj?
Yes, sir. We have our works committee which has stepped down, and we are in the process of forming the new works committee. We have made an announcement. So now, see, there are to form, there are about 5 nominations from one side and another 2-3 nominations from the other side. So to finalize, should we get the signature and show of the majority, sir? How to go about that?
See, I am going to send you the Tamil Nadu rules regarding bus committee, which talks about in the rules talks about all the points with regard to the bus committee. Section 3, chapter 2 talks about bus committee, and in the rules, rule number 3 to 21 talks about bus committee, appointment of bus committee people, number of people to be in the bus committee. A detailed points are there. I will share with you. Because of running a short of time, I'm not able to in detail explain you, but you have to have equal representation from both sides. Works committee members should be selected by way of election from the workers actually, but in some other companies it is nominated. So there may be some issues with regard to that. So if there's a dispute, then you have to go for election only. And even the department may insist for election if there's a conflict. I am going to send you a booklet on Tamil Nadu rules 1958 regarding details about what are all the rules applicable with regard to the Industrial Dispute Act. If you go through it, no, section 3, immediately it comes. Section 1, 2, 3. In section 3, there are that rule number 3. From rule number 3 to rule number 21 talks about works committee. And it's a very simple way it is explained. You can go through it. I can come back to you on that quickly. Thank you. Welcome you all back to our discussion. Welcome you all back to our discussion. So coming back to the nitty-gritty of long-term wage agreement, duration of the agreement we were talking. See, duration should not be more than 2 to 3 hours. And at the close of the meeting, both the sides should happily go, shake hands, and nowadays say namaste being going and go out. When they are going out, they should not murmur. You have to come close at least one point to their satisfaction. And in my meeting of 6 months in a medical industry, in a hospital industry, none of the meeting went waste. Or in each and every meeting, even the external leader commented that the people were happy and I am also happy the way in which you are taking up. And it was so cordial with such a union. And on the first day, I said, whatever is offered during the last settlement, 6,500 rupees, sorry, 5,000 rupees. So I said that is assured now. See, the industry is around 20 years old, and the union was 10 years old. And the last settlement, in 2016, they have paid 5,000 rupees enhancement over the existing salary. So when I started my discussion in a day or two, I said, you are rest assured with your 5,000 now. That is, whatever salary you are drawing now, what is offered in the last settlement, the same amount of 5,000 I am offering now. No one objected from the management side. I told the management that you cannot discuss from rupee one, சில கம்பெனில பாத்தீங்கன்னா வேஜ் செட்டில்மெண்ட் உட்கார்ந்து பேசுவாங்க. போன வாட்டி விட எவ்வளவு இன்க்ரீஸ் வேணும், அவங்க 1 லட்சம் கேட்பான், 100 ரூபாய் தரேன், கடுப்பாவும் 100 ரூபாய் தர, அது அன்னைக்கு ஃபுல்லா பேசுவாங்க 100 ரூபாய் தரேன், எந்த ஏட்ல தரேன்னு கூட சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க. அப்புறம் 150 ரூபாய் தரேன், இவன் உடனே கத்துவான், போன வாட்டி 5000 ரூபாய் கொடுத்தீங்க, நான் இப்ப 1 லட்சம் கேட்டிருக்கேன். They may say, so why are you confusing yourself? If you get a mandate from the company that the last time agreement increment is rest assured, you can open from there and say that you have produced this much, they have given this enhancement, and now we are assuring the same, subject to you are retaining the same production and giving something more than that. So this settlement is going to be a productivity oriented settlement. And whatever enhancement I have given last time, the same enhancement I am giving, hoping that you will be retaining the production and improving it to a certain extent. போன வாட்டி ஒரு மாசத்துக்கு 50,000 பீஸ் போட்டோம் அப்படின்னா மாசத்துக்கு, இந்த வாட்டி நீங்க அந்த 50,000 பீஸ் குறைவில்லாம போடுவீங்க, அதுக்கு மேல போடுவீங்க, எவ்வளவு போடுவீங்கன்றதை நீங்க சொல்லுவீங்க. அதனால நான் லாஸ்ட் டைம் கொடுத்த அந்த செட்டில்மெண்ட் அமௌண்ட்டை அஷ்யூர் பண்றேன். They were very much happy. They immediately told me that last time it has not happened like this. We were about to go on strike. There was a shouting, and they said no, from 5 rupees they started. So even to reach 100 rupees, they had a daily meeting. Why should I have a daily meeting? You ask them to come back with a fair amount, what they will give on productivity and what is their minimum expectation. You have to always tell them what is your minimum expectation. My maximum is offer is this. What is your minimum? You have to say that we have to bridge the gap. நீங்க இறங்கி வாங்க, நாங்க மேல வரோம், இதான டாபிக். அவ்வளவுதானே வேஜ் செட்டில்மெண்ட். அதை தெளிவா நம்ம சொல்லணும். அது எப்படி சொல்ல முடியும்? காலையில 10 மணிக்கு ஆரம்பிச்சு சாயங்காலம் 5 மணி வரைக்கும் பாத்தீங்கன்னா சண்டை வரும். Start it by 2 o'clock, but have a time management. If you say 2 o'clock, don't start it by 3 o'clock. Let them come. Suppose if they are all not coming, you wait for them. Doesn't matter. Leader பின்னாடி தான் வருவார் எப்பயுமே. 2 மணிக்கு மீட்டிங் போட்டா 3 மணிக்கு தான் வருவார். 3 மணி வரைக்கும் பேசுங்க ஜெனரலா. And then you start by 3 o'clock. And next time you may say, I am sorry. The leader may say, I am sorry, and the workman may say that 1 hour is wasted. You close it by 5 o'clock. Sharp by 5 o'clock, you say we will come for next discussion. But before closing, give a hope. Next time it will continue. But never say your final offer, or never say this is assured, never say that I will consider, never say I will consider, I will come back to you and all. Never ever say will be later next time. I am telling you very clearly, in recent past, in one of the companies where I was the consultant, the management said that they will talk about BDA and come to a conclusion in the next settlement. Now the settlement is due, the employee said, first you discuss this. And the management is very much worried, and he is asking 30 rupees per point. And management is not at all interested in giving BDA. So such a situation should not come. If you say no, say family. Be clear about productivity norms. That is, you must say, with this offer, what is your expectation towards productivity? Productivity is different from production. Productivity is different from production. Considering the wastage, what is the final output that you are getting? Adding the wastage, what is the total cost? Adding the quality rejections, what is the total cost per piece? That is the productivity. Productivity includes cost of wastage and cost of quality rejection. It is not production. Suppose if you say 500 pieces you produced, 50 pieces became wasted. Now it is only 450 pieces. So what is the cost of production? Means these 50 to be added to that, And also the wages that you have paid to it is to be added. And that is productivity. Productivity includes the wastage also. Production is numbers. So talk about productivity always. And it varies from company to company. Automobile industry differs from pharma industry. Foundry is totally different. So each and every industry, they have their own nomenclature and they have their own norms to be fixed for productivity. So you must know to conduct the productivity norms. Sometimes the management may say that they have conducted the output test with a newcomer, trainee, or a professional in each and every machine of different types and arrived at a particular production. That production is a productivity norm fixed. But when you look into it, the workman may not be accepting it at all. I will tell you, in most of the companies, the problem comes only in this area. That is lack of calculation. They say, people engagement. People engagement. In night shift, he completes his production by 1 o'clock itself night and don't know what to do, because whatever target you have fixed, he is achieved by 1 o'clock. Because there's no proper calculation, there's no IED department, production engineering design department, or PPC, production planning control department. And in some of the companies, they call an external person like National Productivity Council. In some of the engineering industry and foundry, they call a third party to study the time and motion study, fatigue study. And I do not know how many of you know about what is the total hours of engagement and on average in this Tamil Nadu or in our nation. Of the 8 hours shift, in some other companies, they have lesser hours for the night shift and more hours for the day shift on rotation. But suppose, for example, it is 8 hours shift. A normal human being, an average production is expected for how many hours in any company? To any company, the expectation is 6.5 hours only. If you say that in our company, the people are working for 707.30 hours, I don't believe. And it is not so in majority of the companies. The effective work, see, you have to consider the movement and all, After all those things, what is the effective hours? He stands there and he has to go to toilet, he has to go to the bathroom, he has to go to close the shift, he has to go for lunch, he has to take tea, he has to move from one place to materials place to collect, despite your TPM, TQM and other things. So he may be moving from place to place also. He cannot stand in a particular place for all the 8 hours. So the effective utilization of available man hours is 6.5 hours. Half that. Half that. See, this discussion I had with many industries in Chennai. Half that. If he does effective work of 5.5 hours, some of you may not believe it at all. You are successful as an HR. So 8 மணி நேர வேலையில 5.5 மணி நேரம் ஒழுங்காக ஸ்ரத்தையாக with all the concentration, if an employee does it with your planning, PPC and all, it is fine. But in many industries, the norms are not, even in auto industry. I know some of them, I don't want to name it. I know some of the industries where it is not fixed at all, even at the third settlement. The workman, does according to his own whims and fancies. So have a firm, very clear, after discussions with the production department, PPC, quality, maintenance, and the external people, and comparing it with the similar industries, come to a conclusion of what is the productivity norms. See, if they are different products, then we have to see what happened in the past. Based on that, you have to fix it. This product means you have to do this. This product means in some companies the product varies. In some companies it is not so. So be clear about what is the productivity norms to be fixed, and it also subject to discussion. சும்மா நீங்க சொன்னது அப்படியே ஒருத்தர் ஒத்துட்டு போயிட மாட்டாங்க. நீங்க ஏற்கனவே கவுண்டர் டிமாண்ட்ல வேற அதை கொடுத்துருப்பீங்க. See, when you are discussing about productivity norm, remember that there may be a discussion about what? About incentive also. They may talk about production incentive. You must be capable of having a cushion for that in your enhancement of wages, because the total amount of a package that is going to talk now, even if it increases the production, it is a total output of cost. The total wages, that production incentive is part of wages. So you have to keep in mind that they may ask about production incentive also. They will discuss about the production incentive also. You can have a class with regard to the productivity norms. Suppose if you are not achieving this productivity, what are you going to do? Are you going to take disciplinary action? Or are you going to make a cut in wages? Is it possible? So many questions are there. And suppose if we attains the maximum production, are you going to give incentive? Or the incentive is going to be fixed at a lower level and then progressively you are going to give for the 100%? So many things, no, it varies from company to company, and you have to discuss it for that. The HR head and the HR team must know what is the process. Discuss with the production people, understand how the product passes through the various stages. What is the end stage? How many days it will take to get the output, end output? Pharma company and the process வந்து 14 நாள் ஆகும். சில கம்பெனில அவுட்புட் வரதுக்கு. ஒரு கார் கம்பெனினா எடுத்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டேஜ்லயே கார் வந்துடும். அசெம்பிளி, அப்புறமா வந்து குவாலிட்டி செக்கிங், டிஸ்பேட்ச். இந்த டிஸ்பேட்சுக்கு வந்து நின்னாதான் அது வந்து ப்ராடக்ட். ஸோ அது வரைக்கும் என்ன, அது வந்து differs from company to company. We must be very clear about all these things. Otherwise, it may lead to chaos and confusion. A night shift, sleeping while on duty, and there will be a confusion. If you ask the production manager, he may say that I have not fixed the norm. So it is the responsibility of the HR department and the plant head or the GM or director of the company to ensure that productivity is properly fixed so that lack of engagement of people doesn't happen. ஒரு ஆள் 8 மணி நேரம் வந்தாருன்னா 5.5 மணி நேரம் வந்து அவர் கரெக்டா வேலை செய்யறதுக்கான டிசைன் இருக்கணும் அவங்க. அப்படி இல்லாம வந்து அவன் தூங்கினா வேலை செய்யல, காலைல வந்து 9 மணி வரைக்கும், காலையில அதே மாதிரி நாங்கெல்லாம் 9 மணிக்கு தான் வரோம், அதுக்கு முன்னாடி சரியா வேலை நடக்கல, இதெல்லாம் வந்து ஏன் பேச்சு வருதுன்னா மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் இஸ் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிள் ஃபார் ஆல் தோஸ் திங்ஸ் அண்ட் we should politely explain this to the top management and ensure that productivity norm is clearly fixed and workmen are in discussion accepting it. Ensure no stoppage or boycott, ever scope for talks must. And confidence must be there in the communication, whether the VP communicates or HR communicates or the director of the company communicates. And the confidence இருக்கணும். அதாவது வந்து பேச்சுவார்த்தை முறிவு அப்படின்னு வந்தாலே தொழில் உறவு முறிவு. Industrial relations. See, it's all the industrial relations. In the industrial relations prevails where the wage is fair and productivity is fair. The industrial relations comes to an end. தொழில் உறவு, நான் ஒரு இடத்துல வந்து C2 யூனியன், நான் தொழில் நல்லுறவுன்னுட்டேன். சார் உறவே இல்லை, அப்புறம் என்ன சார் நல்லுறவு கேட்கிறாங்க. அங்க போய் நான் என்னத்தையும் பேசுறது? ஸோ தொழில் நல்லுறவு அப்படின்றது நல்லா இருந்ததுன்னா the scope for cutting the discussion will not be there. And if you are capable of talking well and taking the people along with you, whether it is a work committee or external union or internal union, உங்களுக்கு தெரியணும் each and every union they have their own type of approach. And the own type of approach technique என்ன, you must be capable of understanding it. NBLF, they have that type of approach. ULF, they have that type of approach. But ultimately, they are all for the workmen. But the way of communication differs from union to union. Even the internal union, the secretary varies from president. All the office bearers may not like the president and secretary talking in their room. You must address all the people. You must speak it because some of the seniors may be the office bearers. So be clear while you are talking productivity norms. Ensure that productivity norms is successfully arrived and ensure that boycott, issuing of notice while the discussion is on. கொடுத்துருவோம் ஸ்ட்ரைக் நோட்டீஸ். சில பேர் ஸ்ட்ரைக் நோட்டீஸை கொடுத்துட்டு சொல்லக்கூட மாட்டோம். டமால் stay in state. Violation of code of conduct, unfair labor practice both sides. You see the ID Act schedules. Unfair labor practice by the employer, unfair labor practice by the workman. அது ரெண்டும் இருக்கும். அதெல்லாம் இருந்தா ஸ்ட்ரைக் வரத்தான் செய்யும். He will give notice. 14 days notice, public sector. Notice கொடுத்தா என்ன ஆகும்? Immediately the government sector, that is the conciliating authority, must call. And once if they call, they may request for withdrawal of the strike to further mediate and continue the discussion. நீங்க என்ன பண்ணுவோம்? Somebody would have instigated it, or maybe in the front. We may hook him and we may touch the protected workman. When the conciliation is going on a particular wage discussion, regard to that, if you are taking action on any of the employees or the protected workmen, you cannot do it without the conciliating authority's knowledge. So don't go into some cheap practices and get into trouble, and this may result in strike, lockout. So I have used a different concept in my young age. பேசிட்டே இருந்தோம். அப்போ லாக்அவுட் பண்ணுவானோ, சஸ்பென்ஷன் ஆஃப் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் ஆபரேஷன், வேற பேர் அவ்வளவுதான். படம் ஒண்ணுதான், பேர் வேற. சஸ்பென்ஷன் ஆஃப் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் ஆபரேஷன். சண்டே சாட்டர்டே நைட் ஷிஃப்ட் முடிஞ்சுது, சண்டே மார்னிங் ஒட்டியாச்சு, மண்டே மார்னிங் வரவங்க சஸ்பென்ஷன் ஆஃப் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் ஆபரேஷன். இட்ஸ் a big nuisance, but there is no alternative for us at that particular point of time to bring a normalcy. Only in extreme cases where they take a wrong decision in spite of your advice and go on strike, then only, and resulted in stay in strike, which is illegal, and wherein they do some sabotage activity and all, then only you can take actions. But also you have to inform the department which is in discussion with regard to the particular issue of wage agreement. So ensure that such an extent things are not going. But in some other companies, I know that it results in stoppage of breakage of discussion, and it should not happen. And the HR should always ensure that an amicable settlement is raised in 18-1, and then it is going as 12-3 and settled before the labor department. So ensure no strike or no lockout. It is very difficult, but you can meticulously plan and avoid it. Drafting and workers meeting. What is drafting? Now we have discussed everything, and each and every meeting I told you minutes of the meeting to be prepared and signed by both the sides. Keep it confidential. And you attained a particular stage. 10,000 ரூபாய் கேட்டாங்க, நீங்க 7,500 முடிக்கணும். 7,000 ரூபாய் வந்துட்டீங்க, almost fair, and you are requesting them again and again to come down. From 10,000 they have come down to 8,000. 2-3 sittings. After explaining our difficulties and also about the productivity, about COVID issue, market, this, that, and all, at this point they will talk more, and then ensure that they may accept a proposal in between. நான் இது இருக்க, நீங்க இது இருக்கீங்க, நடுவுல ஏதாவது பேசிடலாமா? You have to talk like that and come to a conclusion. And at the last day, the head of discussion, if he is a director, if you come to a conclusion, he may announce something and close the issue. And just before closing the issue, suppose 7,500 is the ultimate amount. When it comes to 6,500 or so, at that time, the HR and the management can advise or request the workers' representative to go for a meeting, or the workers' representative themselves should go for a meeting, call for the executive committee meeting and discuss among themselves and cut the deviations or difference of opinion among themselves and come to an understanding that this should be the final thing which we can tell to all the workmen. So if you tell if you arrive at that, then go for a general body meeting. In the general body meeting, tell that travel that you had for an hour and how much pain the team took to convince the management and what are all the difficulties faced by the management, where we have to cooperate with the management. All those things you have to educate the works committee or the internal leader to talk about it. It comes only by rapport. And this executive general meeting and then general body meeting. In the general body meeting, they say that this is the final amount the management has said and we want your mandate. Some of the workmen may hesitate and other union people may come and they may say that you are the majority union, but we will see that you are toppled and we will raise a dispute. It may happen. It may happen. See, one of the automobile industries at Hosur, Part 1, 2, 3, but in one of the industries, there were 14 unions. There were 14 unions. And 30 unions had 740 people. And one union, which is a party-based union, and CIT union, got 754 people. The head HR said that he will talk only with the 754 and leave the 740. Here what will happen? They may, suppose tomorrow some general body meeting takes place, they may talk something. So you should be careful. Even in case of internal union, if we have multi-unions, it is very difficult here to manage. And any party, any employee who is not a party to a dispute also can raise a dispute if it's an award or if it's an accord. So be careful in handling multi-unions. So drafting is nothing but, after completion of the final amount arrived at and distribution also is over, it is the responsibility of the legal team to draft the wage accord, if it is 18.1 or 12.3. And the wage accord, the first page, they may say that 18.1 settlement with the rule TP, section 2P. I'm showing you some of the settlements here. There is an 18.1 settlement. You may not be able to visualize, but this is an 18.1. You will see. Okay, see, this is a individual settlement of the each and every workman. I am holding it. This is each workman is entering into a 18.1 settlement, and then the settlement is signed by both of them, and it is sent to commissioner and secretary, commissioner of labor, deputy commissioner, labor officer. So each and every workman, an 18.1 settlement is entered in some of the industry, and in the draft, they will be saying the short recital of the case, and then they may say for each and every point, like basic what they are giving, DA what they are giving, all those things, all the points will be what is acceptable. That will be said, and for the what period it is. So in the ready-made, a lot of wage accord 18.1 and 12.3 are available. What is suitable to you from the template that you have to take. In some other companies, they say 1947 ஆண்டு தொழில் தகராறு சட்டத்தின் கீழ் பிரிவு 2P உடன் பிரிவு 18.1 மற்றும் 25.1 தமிழ்நாடு தொழில் தகராறு விதிகள் 1958. That is 25.1 is the rule under the Tamil Nadu Industrial Dispute Rules 1958. That talks about wage accord. 18.1 wage accord is as per Act. 25.1 is rules. And 2P is the class 2P talks about an agreement. So they take all these things and write it. That's all. They say it is as per ID Act and also as per Tamil Nadu rules to be on the safer side. See, this is how it is written, and there's no standard format available for it. But you may have to be very careful while writing it. First, you have to write the கோரிக்கைகளின் சுருக்கமான விவரம். That is what they have asked. What are all the things that they have asked and what they said about it. அவங்க அதை கேட்டாங்க, இதெல்லாம் ஒத்துழைப்பு பண்றோம், அதெல்லாம் ஒத்துழைப்பு கொடுக்குறோம்னு சொல்லி கேட்டாங்க. And then What about the facts prevailing for the industry? உலக அளவுல வந்து இந்த இண்டஸ்ட்ரி எப்படி இருக்கு, அந்த இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் செக்டார் எப்படி இருக்கு, அப்புறமா அதுக்கு அப்புறமா விதிமுறைகள் அண்ட் நிபந்தனைகள், ஊதிய உயர்வு, ஒவ்வொரு கீழே ஊதிய உயர்வு, அதை நீங்க வந்து எப்படி தரப்போறீங்க, மொத்தமா கன்சாலிடேட்டா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இயர் எவ்வளவு தரப்போறீங்க, செகண்ட் இயர் எவ்வளவு தரப்போறீங்க, தேர்ட் இயர் எவ்வளவு தரப்போறீங்க. இட் இஸ் only for the employees on roll and those who are joining confirmed during the period of settlement. இதெல்லாம் எழுதுவோம் அதுல. அது வந்து செட்டில்மெண்ட்ல என்ன எழுதுவோம்னா, செட்டில்மெண்ட் எஃபெக்ட் வந்து யாருக்கெல்லாம், அந்த செட்டில்மெண்ட் சைன் பண்ற அன்னைக்கு ரோல்ல இருந்தவங்களுக்குலாம், போனவங்க வந்து டூரிங் த செட்டில்மெண்ட் இருந்தா அவங்களுக்கும் கொடுக்கலாமா வேணாமான்னு, கொடுக்கலன்னா அவன் டிஸ்பியூட் எழுப்போம், ஆளை வந்து அவங்களுக்கும் கொடுப்போன்றது பெட்டர். சப்போஸ் செட்டில்மெண்ட் ஸ்டார்ட்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் 2021 ஜனவரி and somebody has left in the month of September, அவர் போயிட்டாரு, எம்ப்ளாயி ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் இல்ல, ஆனா அவர் இருக்கும் போதே இந்த செட்டில்மெண்ட் பேச ஆரம்பிச்சாச்சுன்னா இந்த யூனியன் வந்து அவருக்கும் கொடுன்னு கேட்டா கொடுத்துடுறது பெட்டர். இல்லைன்னா அது ஒரு டிஸ்பியூட்டா பேசிக்கிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ it is not mandatory, but it is preferable. And for how many people it is applicable? Whether it is applicable to probationers? Yes, it is applicable to probation once they confirmed. All these things, which in every year you will be putting, and then about the production incentive, what you are going to give, and then general conditions, that those things you will be putting for each and every department. Electrical machine maintenance, அதுல என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணணும், அது அந்த தொழிலாளியினுடைய வேலை தன்மைகள் என்னென்ன அப்படின்னு டீடைல்டா நீங்க 12(3) செட்டில்மெண்ட் 18 செட்டில்மெண்ட் எழுதுவீங்க. 12(3) அந்த எழுதுவோம். இந்த டீடைல்ஸ் எல்லாம் எழுதி, இது வந்து டெம்ப்ளேட் வந்து வேரியஸ் ஃப்ரம் இண்டஸ்ட்ரி டு இண்டஸ்ட்ரி. ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் இண்டஸ்ட்ரிக்கு இருக்கிற ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் நேச்சர் ஆஃப் இண்டஸ்ட்ரிக்கு இருக்கிறது இன்னொரு நேச்சர் ஆஃப் இண்டஸ்ட்ரிக்கு இருக்காது. சப்போஸ் வந்து ஆட்டோமொபைல் இண்டஸ்ட்ரினா எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கலாம், பட் ஃபவுண்டரினா வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும், ஃபார்மானா வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும். And the pharma industry, other than you will be talking about safety also, in that it is better. And if there is no certified standing order, you may include in your wage accord that employees will cooperate to arrive at a certified standing order. இது மாதிரி பல விஷயங்கள் எல்லாம் அந்த டிராஃப்டிங்ல, நீங்க டிராஃப்டிங்ல எல்லாத்தையும் எழுதி அந்த டிராஃப்ட அவர்கிட்ட மீட்டிங்ல கூப்பிட்டு கொடுத்து, டிராஃப்ட் கொடுத்தாச்சு, இதுதான் ஃபைனல் அமௌண்ட் அப்படின்னு ஒரு மினிட்ஸ் போட்டு எல்லா ஆபீஸ் பேரன்ஸ் கிட்டையும் எக்ஸ்டர்னல் லீடர் கிட்டையும் வாங்கினா அதோட முடிஞ்சுது. ஜெனரல் பாடி மீட்டிங் அவங்க போட்டாச்சு, அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து அவங்க அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணியாச்சு, அதுக்கு ஏத்த மாதிரி ஒரு டிராஃப்ட் போட்டாச்சு. டிராஃப்ட்ல வந்து the expected work, the union representative may ask for some corrections in document. If it is fair and if it is acceptable, please go for such corrections, and then minute what has happened in the last meeting, and then give the copy of the draft to the workmen. Again, the workmen may go for a general body meeting and get approval for the draft 18(1) settlement. And once if they get the draft approved by all the workmen signing on the minutes of the meeting, and the meeting general body meeting போடுவாங்க. அதுல மினிட்ஸ்ல வந்து இன்னைக்கு டிராஃப்ட் படிச்சாங்க, இவ்வளவு ரூபாய் இருந்ததுல அந்த டிராஃப்ட்ல வந்து எல்லா டீடைல்ஸ் இருக்கு. ரஃபா வந்து டோட்டலா இவ்வளவு ரூபாய் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் வருது, அவங்க ப்ரொடக்டிவிட்டி கேக்குறாங்க, சேஃப்டி பத்தி பேசியிருக்காங்க, ஸ்டாண்டிங் ஆர்டர் நம்பர், அதெல்லாம் சும்மா ஒரு பிரீஃபா எழுதி இதை வந்து யூனியனுடைய மீட்டிங்ல, ஆபீஸ் பேரஸ் மீட்டிங்ல வந்து நாங்க இதை ஏற்புடையது என்று தெரிவித்து அங்கேயும் அவங்ககிட்ட ஒத்துக்கிட்டோம், இதை உங்ககிட்ட வைக்கிறோம், நீங்க எல்லாரும் கையெழுத்து போடுங்க. ஒரு ஜெனரல் பாடியில வந்து கையெழுத்து வாங்கின பிறகு அந்த டிராஃப்ட் ஓகே, then the union comes and gives to the management to make an arrangement to make a pakka final draft. And in the final draft, the management side, some 5-6 people will be signing. From the union side, if it's an internal union, only the office bearers of the union, including the committee members, some 5 committee members, and the treasurer, president, vice president, treasurer, president, vice president, and office bearers. See, around 8 to 10 members may sign. And if it is affiliated to an external union, the honorary president and secretary of the external union will also sign if it's an affiliated union. So in the first page, left side, the management will sign. On the right side, these people will sign. In all the pages, all the participants of the discussion, that is at the 81 discussion, will sign. And in a separate page, along with it, all the workmen connected to 18.1, the union will get it signed by all the workmen, so that there's no issues prevailing after 18.1 is signed. And this will be taken to the department. It is always preferable to take the 18.1 to the department, labor department, and discuss there and sign and make it, convert it into 12.3. If there is a dispute prevailing in the labor department, then it may go to other conciliating authority, which we have seen, conciliation officer, then board of conciliation, court of inquiry, labor court. It may be discussed in the labor court. If there is no final conclusion in the labor court may get the details from the workman, details from the corporate company, including the balance sheet they may study, and the judicial authority, the judge presiding the labor court, may announce his award. Long time wage settlement, நீங்க போடல, அவர் சிஓடி கூப்பிட்டாரு, இப்போ வந்து லேபர் கோர்ட்டே இவ்வளவு சம்பளம் கொடுக்கணும்னு சொல்லியிருக்கு. அது மாதிரி சிச்சுவேஷனுக்குலாம் வராம இருக்க பார்த்துக்கணும். ஏன்னாக்கா it may result in unpleasant situation. If it tells, then the man may say that there is a wrong calculation or legally something is not correct. Because I have told you already, in one of the companies, the award was given in the recent past, and profit, in the profit, 1% to be given apart from the wage accord. It is all not practically feasible. The judge has given a judgment like that. Now it is a prerogative of the management to accept or go for a confrontation. So they went to petition to the court, and the discussion planned. The entire 3 years were over. See the fate, and the arrears to be given now. And next settlement also comes. Such a confusion and all will come. So it all depends on the cordial relationship between the management and the workmen. And I have discussed so far all the points with regard to this long-term wage agreement integrity. And quickly, I will get back to you one more thing. Now, see, you have seen already this 2A. 2A is about dismissal, individual workmen, and also about the union. That is a 2A dismissal of individual workmen to be deemed to be an industrial dispute. And they talk about the individual workmen and 2P. 2K talks about almost all individual workmen and also about the between the employer and employer. This I have already told you about 2K and 2B. Next. I already talked about reference of dispute to the board, court, to tribunal, section 10. Under section 10, it is happening. That is, suppose the conciliating authority is not able to, that is the labor department, DCL or DCL or LO, JCL, DCL or LO, not able to arrive it, then it may be referred to the board, court or tribunal. Tribunal is state, tribunal for the state level and national level. So they may order in writing a final verdict. And if there's if it is to be challenged, then you have to go to High Court and Supreme Court. If there legally, if there's an issue on that. So award is given by these people. Then section 12 already we have seen, and 12.3 settlement, and where any industry exists or apprehended, the conciliation officer may, or where the dispute relates to a public utility under notice 22 section. Section 22 deals with strike. If the notice is given under strike or something about lockout, then they may go for calling both the parties. So section 12.1 deals with all these things, and 12.3 is the wage accord. And this is what the wage accord which we have seen now. So far, how it is to be discussed and all. 18.1, we have already seen how the 18.1 is taken. That is the nitty-gritty of long-term wage settlements. 14 points we have seen. All these 14 points are over, means 18.1 is over. Next. See, period of operation of settlement and awards. Generally, all the people are under the understanding that the period of settlement is only 3 years, In 18.1, it is not so. It is not specifically mentioned in the law. Of course, if it is an award, they say maximum 3 years and 1 year, maximum 3 years. And if it is not so, if it is a 18.1 settlement and then converted into either make it 4 years also. So some of the companies are giving a counter demand saying that we want to have 5 years settlement. So the period, there is a clear cut message that it is not restricted to 3 years. Even some public sector have done for more than 3 years. So period of settlement operation is not just restricted to 3 years. And maybe 1 year also. Maximum is not 3 years. It can be 5 years also. Next. So we have seen almost everything. And with regard to idea, I started with idea and ended with the idea. And so far we have discussed elaborately about how HR has to do a long-term wage accord, right from COD to understanding the demands and taking the discussion and concluding it with by 18.1 and 12, making it 12.3. How many members can be in works committee? No union in a company. From employee side, is there any maximum or minimum? Mucho. Works committee. See, there's a question about how many members can be in works committee. See, rule 3. Constitution of works committee, rule 3 of the Tamil Nadu rules. I am going to send you the entire rules to you. Rule 3 to rule 21 talks about it. Number of members. The number of members constituting the committee shall be fixed by the employer so as to afford representation to the various categories, groups, and classes of workmen engaged in and to be to the sections, shops, and departments of the establishment, provided that total number of members shall not exceed 20. Sir, அதிகபட்சமா வந்து 20 பேர் மெம்பராக இருக்கலாம். அதாவது ரூல் 4 ஆஃப் தி தமிழ்நாடு ரூல்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அது able to hear me பாலமுருகன்?
Yes sir, yes sir.
20 பேர் அதிகபட்சம் நம்பர் ஆஃப் மெம்பர்ஸ் வந்து ரூல் 4ல இருக்கு 20 பேர். அது வந்து எம்ப்ளாயர் வந்து ஒவ்வொரு டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து எத்தனை பேர் அந்த டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டுடைய ஸ்ட்ரென்த் பண்ணி ஃபைனலைஸ் பண்ணுவாரு. ஸோ மேக்சிமம் நம்பர்ஸ் வந்து நீங்க எவ்வளவு பெரிய இண்டஸ்ட்ரியா இருந்தாலும் எவ்வளவு பேரு 20 பேரு மினிமம் வந்து நீங்க டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம். 10 பேர் வச்சுக்கலாம், 5 பேர் வச்சுக்கலாம். மேக்சிமம் வந்து the representation of the employer shall be nominated by the employer and shall, as far as possible, the manager and the senior officials in direct touch with or associated with the working of the establishment. Representative of the workmen. The representative of the workmen shall be elected by the workmen engaged in the establishment. Election வச்சுதான் நிறைய இடங்கள்ல வந்து ஒர்க்ஸ் கமிட்டியை என்கரேஜ் பண்றாங்க. எலெக்ஷன் வச்சு எலெக்ஷன் வச்சுதான் வந்து என்கேஜ் பண்றோம். எலெக்ஷன் இல்லாம நீங்க வந்து நாமினேஷன் பண்ணீங்கன்னா ப்ராப்ளம் வரும். அதனால வந்து better to conduct an election, but you must be capable of influencing the workmen and select the workmen whom you like. ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல ஒரு பையன் வந்து ஃபேரா அப்ரோச் பண்றாங்க, அவங்களுடைய கம்பெனியை நல்லா புரிஞ்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க, ஃபேரா அப்ரோச் பண்றாங்க. அது மாதிரி பீப்புளை நிக்க வைக்கிறதுக்காக நீங்க வந்து ஒரு ஒர்க் பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். நீங்க பாட்டுக்கு வந்து எல்லாமே வந்து ஒர்க்கர் பார்த்துப்பாங்க, நான் எலெக்ஷன் முடிஞ்சு ஒரு ஆபீஸ் பேரர் வருவான்னாக்க உங்களுக்கு எதிரே எப்பயுமே எதிர்த்து பேசுறோம்னா ஆபீஸ் பேரரா வருவான் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் கமிட்டியில. ஆளு வந்து உங்களுக்கு உகந்த மாதிரியான பீப்புள் நீங்க தான் வந்து இந்த 2 பேர்ல யாராவது நாமினேட் பண்ணிக்கலாம் இந்த டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல. எம்ப்ளாயி we can say and then employee will discuss among themselves and in notice board election will be announced. ஒரு டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து நிப்பான் 2 பேரோ 3 பேரோ, அதுல விட்ராயில கூட ஜெனரலா எலெக்ஷன் எப்படி நடக்குது அது மாதிரி எலெக்ஷனுக்கு வந்து மீடியேட்டர் யாருன்னா கம்பெனியில இருக்க ஒரு சீனியர் அபிஷியலோ இல்ல ஒர்க்மனோ அல்லது தேர்ட் பார்ட்டி தட் இஸ் லேபர் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து கூட்டு நீங்க ஒரு மீடியேட்டரை வச்சுக்கலாம். ஆல் திஸ் திங்ஸ் ஆர் புட் இன் ரூல்ஸ்ல ரொம்ப அழகா ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா தமிழ்ல எழுதுற மாதிரி எழுதிருக்காங்க. கன்சல்டேஷன் வித் ட்ரேட் யூனியன். ஆனா ரெகக்னைஸ்டு ட்ரேட் யூனியன் இருந்தா அந்த இடத்துல ஒர்க்ஸ் கமிட்டிக்கு எஃபெக்ட் கிடையாது. நெக்ஸ்ட் எனிதிங் எல்ஸ், எனி அதர் क्वेश्चंस?
சார் தேங்க்ஸ் சார். இதுல இந்த எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் இருக்கிற டோட்டல் மெம்பர்ஸும் சைன் பண்ணி நான் வந்து 5 பேரை நாமினேட் பண்றேன் அப்படின்னு எல்லாரும் சைன் பண்ணி கொடுக்குறச்ச அதை அக்செப்ட் பண்ணலாம் இல்லையா?
பண்ணலாமே பண்ணலாமே. ஆனா வந்து 5 பேரும் ஒரே டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல இருக்க கூடாதே.
இல்ல டிஃபரண்ட் செக்ஷன்ஸ்ல என்ன வரும்?
பண்ணலாம் பண்ணலாம் பண்ணலாம். லா இஸ் நாட் பாரிங். எனிபடி இப்போ கேள்வி நான் கேட்கட்டுமா? 1 2
எஸ் ப்ளீஸ் சார்.
கேட்கலாமா? பாலு முருகன் அவரே வந்து பதில் சொல்லக்கூடாது, எல்லாரும் சொல்லணும். எனி questions I may ask him. What is the difference between 18(1) and 12(3)? 18(1)க்கும் 12(3)க்கும் டிஃபரன்ஸ் என்ன?
18(1) is a bipartite agreement and 12(3) is the tripartite. And 18(1) is actually applicable only to the concerned workmen, but 12(3) is applicable for the entire workmen.
Super. And then Saravanan asked something. Saravanan, please clarify about Section 9 of Trade Union Act. We need to talk to LTS if union strength is less than 10%. If the union strength is less than 10%, if both two union given COD, which one is legally right to discuss LTS based on Section 9A of the Trade Union Act? Can we neglect directly the minority union from LTS stocks? See, I am showing you some question by Saravanan. Touching the Trade Union Act, rather, it is up to the management to accept
Hello. Hello, sir.
Sorry, Saravanan. See, as far as the COD is concerned, with the recognized union only we used to talk, and the majority union, with the majority union only we can talk. Can we neglect directly the minority union? Yes, you can directly neglect the minority union unless the majority union allows, you need not allow the minority union. Or the union have rights to talk about CL wages and permanency. Of course, they may ask about contract labor means they may talk about contract labor and permanency. They have the right to talk about it, even though they are not the members of the union. The union is raising a particular demand for the permanent employees. In that, if they have not said separately, they can say that CL issues also they can break up and say that this union is representing the CLs also. Suppose if you have any deviations from the act, Conferment of Permanent Status to Workmen Act, Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act, all these things, see, they can indirectly make it. In one of the companies, the permanent workmen have their own union and CLs also have their own union. Both the unions are same unions and the leader is different, but it is affiliated to the same party. In that case, the permanent workmen also talked about the CL wages, but you need not encourage such things, but they may give in writing also. But it is legal or illegal means you have to reply. There is no legality because in ID Act, even contract labor is your labor. Next. So almost I have clarified everything. And one more request I am telling is, we are running out of time, and all the union have the right to talk about CL wages. Difference between increment and wage settlement. Increment, just a minute, Chandru. The increment is annual increment, and you can even say that increment is part of wage settlement. See, annual increment, that is slab increment, is increment, and wage settlement is an ad hoc amount distributed into various states. So shall we make the wage agreement for 5 years? How many years ID Act allowed maximum? ID Act is not clear, and the ID Act, if it's an award, it is 3 years. In even public sector, they have made 5 years. In some other companies, they are asking for 4 years, and you can make it for 5 years. Sorry, any wage settlement format, I will be able to send you a wage settlement format shortly. If possible, you have to give me some time. A nice lecture. Okay, LTS, what is the minimum and maximum years as per Act? See, LTS minimum is 1 year. Maximum award is 3 years. You can even make it. Act is saying award. But as far as the 18-1 Act is silent. Instead of 3 years, you can have 5 years. Ultimately, it is between the employer and employee. You cannot say, I will have a 10 years wage settlement. People will laugh at you. And the 4 years, 5 years are allowed. Shall we make the wage agreement 5 years? Yes. But Act is silent about it. Act is not saying you make 5 years. Act is saying if it's award 3 years. The same question is repeated again and again. Shall we make the wage agreement 5 years? Yes. But Act is silent about it. You can make an 18-1 and convert it into 12-3. And certain things, Act is silent. If it's an award, it is 3 years. Any wage settlement format, yes. We will try to send you. We will black out the name of the company and try to send you. It may take some time. Thank you all for participating with me. Any other question, you can come to me by mail for the next 2 weeks. Pertains to only this LTS meeting, and I am glad to receive from the participants only, and I am sure that I will be able to share with you my answer legally. And I hope all of you enjoyed it to an extent this, and I request you all to come with your feedback by your WhatsApp, and we may have a group in WhatsApp shortly, and from your WhatsApp number, you can share, and also you can put your question in there within a week for the next 1 week. Please do not extend it more than that. And within 1 week, if you put any questions, definitely I will come back to you with an answer, because this is only a 2-hour session. We have discussed the maximum. The nitty-gritty is more important than the act. I always say that logic is more important than act. Reasonable discussion is more important than sitting on the act. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot to you all. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Kelvia.
Listen, I will discuss with you tomorrow. Please book a time. Personal எடுத்து நாளைக்கு நான் பேசுறேன்.
Please come by WhatsApp, not by phone.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.